Hey guys, welcome back to another Reddit Stories video. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. Have a good time. A man gave me his old family videos. After watching them, I understand why he was so desperate to get rid of them. My job is Josh. I didn't mean that in a metaphorical, I hate my career kind of a way. I mean it literally. I'm a garbage collector. My alarm goes off at 4 a.m. I pull up on steel toed boots and I spend the next 8 hours heaving the things people don't want anymore into the back of a growling truck. It's dirty, smelly, physically demanding job, but it pays the bills for my tiny apartment and it's honest work. You also learn a lot about people from what they throw away. Most of the time, it's just bags of household garbage, but sometimes you find treasures. A broken piece of furniture that can be fixed, a box of old books. People get rid of the strangest things. My rule is that if it's in a box and set out separately, it's fair game to take a look. That's how I ended up with the tapes. It happened a few weeks ago. I was on my usual route through a quiet, old, suburban neighborhood. One of the residents, a man probably in his late 20s, flagged me down. He looked awful. His eyes were wide and bloodshot, with dark, bruised looking circles under them, like he hadn't slept in a month. His hands were trembling. Hey, he said. His voice was a hoarse whisper. You're the garbage guy, right? Can you just take this for me? Just get it off my house, please. He shoved a heavy cardboard box into my hands. It was sealed with a single, hasty strip of packing tape. Sure thing, man, I said. Just leave it on the curb next time. No, he said, his eyes darting around nervously. I need it gone. Now. He didn't wait for a reply. He just turned and practically ran back into his house, slamming the door behind him. I shrugged, tossed the box into the cab of my truck to look through later, and continued my route. That night, back in my apartment, I finally opened the box. It was heavy. Inside, packed neatly, were at least 50 old home cassettes. The kind we all used in the 90s. Big, clunky, black rectangles. None of them had labels. They were completely anonymous. I'm not gonna lie, my first thought was a little sketchy. Who knew what could be on these? Maybe something weird, something interesting. It was a window into a stranger's life. Anything was better than the usual mind numbing cable TV. I had an old VCR TV combo I picked up from the thrift shop, so I pulled it out, blew the dust off it, and popped in the first tape. The screen flickered to life with a burst of static, then resolved into a shaky, oversaturated home video. It was a kid's birthday party, a backyard, a bunch of screaming children, a cake with cartoon characters on it. The time stamp in the corner said 1998. Watching it, I got a strange sense of secondhand nostalgia. The clothes, the music, the quality of the video itself. It was a time capsule, and I recognized one of the kids, a small, skinny boy with a goofy grin. It was a man who had given me the box. The next few tapes were more of the same. Christmas mornings with mountains of discarded wrapping paper, awkward family vacations to the beach, the camera panning shakily across sunburned faces. I watched him grow up on those tapes, from a little kid to a gawky teenager. It was strangely intimate, watching these moments that were never meant for my eyes. It was also normal, boring even. I was about to give up and just toss the whole box. That's when I put the tape of the barbecue. The timestamp said July 2002. The scene was familiar. A sunny backyard, adults drinking beer, kids running through a sprinkler. The man from the tapes, now a teenager, was trying to flip burgers on a grill, clearly failing. It was another slice of mundane life. I was half watching, half scrolling on my phone, and then the video glitched. The screen dissolved into a brief, violent snowstorm of static, a loud zzz coming through the speakers. It lasted only a second. When the picture returned, the scene was the same. The burgers were still burning, the kids were still screaming, but something was different. In the background, hanging from the thick branches of a large oak tree, there was a shadow. It wasn't there before the glitch. I rewound the tape, watched it again. Normal scene, bzzzt, glitch, and there it was. It was a dark, amorphous shape, like a smudge on a lens, but it had a distinct, unsettling form. It looked tentacled, like a squid or an octopus made of pure darkness, just dangling there among the leaves. I leaned closer to the screen, my heart beating a little faster. It was probably nothing, a film artifact, a bit of the tape degrading in a weird way. That had to be it. I shook my head, dismissing the creepy feeling crawling up my spine, and the tape played out. The shadow never moved. It was just there, a silent, impossible observer in a happy family memory. I put in the next tape, a Christmas morning from 2004. The family was in the living room, opening presents. The teenage boy, the man, was showing off a new video game console. It was a laughter and joy. I was watching them intently now, waiting. Just the glitch started. The picture returned, and my blood ran cold. It was there again, the thing, but it wasn't on a tree in the background anymore. It was in the house. For a few frames, just a fraction of a second, I saw it standing in the dark hallway that led out of the living room. It was clearer this time. It had depth, a three-dimensional quality. It wasn't flat shadow. It was a thing, a tall, spindly, dark thing with what looked like long, thin limbs that coiled and shifted like they had no bones. It was just standing there in the shadows of the hallway, watching the family celebrate. I rewound it, played it in slow motion. Before the glitch, the hallway was empty. After the glitch, the creature was there. It wasn't part of the original recording. The glitch wasn't revealing something that was already there. The glitch was adding it. It was inserting this observer into the memory. That's when the obsession began. I spent the next 3 days doing nothing but watching these tapes. I called in sick to work. I didn't eat. I barely slept. I sat in my darkened apartment. The only thing coming from the glowing screen of the old TV, and I watched. Every single tape was the same. A normal family event, a wedding, a graduation, a trip to a theme park. And in every single one, the glitch would happen. And every single time, the thing would be there. And it was getting closer. On a tape of a trip to the zoo, it was a dark shape behind the glass of the reptile house. On a tape of a school play, it was a tall, thin figure standing in the wings of the stage. With each appearance, it became more defined. The vague, octopus like shadow resolved in a distinct silhouette. The silhouette grew limbs, a torso, a head, This impossibly tall and thin, its limbs too long, its joints bending at unnatural angles. It was like a spider and a man had been melted together in the dark. It never moved. It never interacted with the family. It just watched, a silent, parasitic passenger on the memories. I felt like I was losing my mind. Was I just seeing things? Was the man who gave me the tapes some kind of weird indie filmmaker who made found footage horror? But it all felt too real. The family, their lives. It was authentic. The creature was the only thing that felt wrong. I got the last tape in the box. It was older than the others. The quality much worse. The timestamp were in 1995. The tape began in a sterile, white hospital room. A tired looking woman in a hospital bed. A man who I recognized as a younger version of the father from the other tapes, holding a small, swaddled bundle. It was the birth of the man who had given me this box. His first moments of life, captured on grainy magnetic tape. I braced myself. I stared at the screen, my knuckles white, waiting for the inevitable glitch, waiting to see where the creature would appear this time. In the corner of the room, in the reflection of a window. But the tape played on. The baby cried. The mother smiled, exhausted but happy. The father cooed. The camera zoomed in on the baby's tiny, wrinkled face. It played perfectly from start to finish. No glitches, no static, no creature. The tape ended, the screen dissolving into a blank, blue void. A wave of immense, shuddering relief washed over me. I laughed, a choked, hysterical sound. It was over. The last tape was clean. It was just a weird, recurring flaw in the other tapes, a magnetic anomaly. My brain had filled in the blanks, created a monster out of nothing. I was an idiot, a sleep deprived, paranoid idiot. I leaned forward and turned off the VCR. The TV screen went blank, and I saw it. It wasn't in a reflection. It wasn't a trick of the light. It was in the room with me. The darkness behind the television, in the corner where the shadows were deepest, was wrong. It was the patch of absolute black, a void that seemed to drink the faint light from the street lamp outside. And from that void, 2 points of light ignited, two giant, crimson, self luminous eyes. They weren't looking at the TV, they were looking at me. I could see its shape now, fully formed, no longer a grainy image on a screen. It was pressed against the wall and the ceiling, its long, spindly limbs splayed out like a monster spider. Its body was a shifting mass of the shadow. Those eyes, those eyes were solid and real and filled with an ancient, terrifying intelligence. I don't think I screamed. I think the sound was trapped in my throat, a solid ball of pure terror. I scrambled backward, falling out of my chair, and crab walked across the room until my back hit the opposite wall. I fumbled for the lamp on my end table, my fingers feeling like useless, clumsy sausages. I found the switch and flicked it. The room was flooded with light. The corner was empty. The TV was just TV. The shadows were just shadows. It was gone. But it had been there. I knew it. I spent the rest of the night huddled in the kitchen, clutching a butcher knife, jumping at every creak and groan of the old building. Sleep was a country I could no longer visit. The next morning, driven by desperate need for answers, I decided to go back to the man's house. I had to know. I had to ask him what he had put me through. I gathered up the tapes, put them back in their box, and drove to his neighborhood. When I pulled out on his street, I saw the police cars. Yellow tape was cordoning off his house. My heart sank into my stomach. I parked down the street and walked closer, trying to look like a curious neighbor. A small group of actual neighbors were gathered on the sidewalk, speaking in hushed, morbid tones. This found him this morning, an elderly man was saying. Terrible. So young. What happened? Another neighbor asked. The woman lowered her voice, but I was close enough to hear. They're not saying much, but my cousin's son is one of the officers on scene. He said it was the strangest thing he's ever seen. The man was just sitting in his chair, no signs of struggle, but his head, with the top of his skull, was gone, and his brain, it was missing. I didn't hear anything else. The words hit me like a physical blow. His brain was missing. The world tilted on its axis. I turned and stumbled back to my car, the box of tapes feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I got home, my mind a blank roar of static. I needed to get rid of them, burn them, throw them in a river. I brought the box inside, and I was about to just dump the contents into a trash bag. My fingers brushed against a piece of paper at the very bottom, hidden beneath the cassette. I hadn't noticed it before. It was a small, folded note. The handwriting was shaky, erratic, the writing of a man on the edge of utter collapse. I unfolded it. It only had a few words. I'm sorry. It promised me it would leave me alone. And in that moment, I understood everything. He passed it on to me. And now I don't know what to do. Do I live with this thing, this silent observer, waiting for it to get hungry? Or do I find another person, another stranger, and hand them a box of old tapes? Do I save myself by damning someone else, just like he did? But it hadn't saved him. The creature had lied. It had moved on to me, and then it had gone back to collect its final payment from him, his brain. Maybe that's what it eats, minds. I don't know. All I know is that I'm so tired, grown terrified to go to sleep.
My friend showed me a new dating app for lonely people. There are some very strange rules in the terms and conditions. I don't get it. I swirl my straw around in the iced pecan latte. Not the manliest drink choice, but Amaya had turned me onto them, and now I couldn't go back to whatever I had ordered before. I would never be the same. Yeah, Josh, Amaya chimed in, leaning back in a chair almost precariously, the front legs tilting off the ground. Me neither. It looks like Grinder. I snorted. It does kind of look like Grinder. How would you even know that, Cooper? I mean, I've seen what Grinder looks like. Have you never seen what Grinder looks like? My head whipped between them, searching for understanding in Joss's face and sympathy in Amaya's. I only found laughter. I crossed my arms and sulked. Guys, I know it's weird, Josh finally continued. He pinched his baseball cap by the bill and spun it around so it was backwards, leaning forward and holding out his phone for us to look at. Doing that was almost a nervous tick for him. It had to be 50 times a day that he rotated his hat like that when he was wearing one, just to rotate it back again. Sometimes I joked that he was going to make his hair curly like that. I don't even know who made this, Jackson said. They found it on the dark web or something. Your cousin Jackson? You're not really falling for that, are you? Amaya smirked at him, leaning on her elbows and chewed on a straw. He's definitely messing with you. He just glared at her and kept going. Some people think it is, like promotion for a movie or something. Some people think the people on here are dead. Dead? Like ghosts or something? He shrugged loosely, his face blank. Don't know. Just a lot of bunch of theories. They could also just be bots or something. So what's the point of using this? I chimed in, slurping loudly as the last hints of liquid in my cup. I got a couple of dirty looks from some old ladies at the table next to us, and I smiled apologetically. You're just making it sound sketchy. Josh grinned, coming alive. He rotated his hat again and leaned in closer, like he was going to tell us a juicy secret. Amaya and I glanced at each other. People are finding love, apparently, he whispered, yelled. Like on the app? With the ghost/bots? He shook his head. No, not exactly. I think the point of the app is that it figures out your type or something. And then you just find someone exactly like that. They're drawn to you or something. So now, this is some tarot card universe soulmate bullshit. Amaya always joked like this. But I could tell she was getting legitimately a little frustrated with him. I didn't blame her. Her emotions had been all over the place lately, since she and Sean broke up. I felt guilty for feeling a little relieved that they finally ended it, considering it meant she had more time to hang out with us. Because I knew she was having a horrible time with it. They had been together for over 2 years. Things like that were a big deal. I, on the other hand, hadn't had a girlfriend in years. I hadn't even been on a date in longer than I wanted to admit. And even if I could get a date, I didn't think I'd know what to do with the opportunity. I thought college would be a constant party where I was meeting girls left and right. But so far, I had been sorely mistaken. I couldn't lie. What Josh was saying sounded appealing in theory. If it was real, that was, which it wasn't. Listen, Josh said, offering a crooked smile. I know it sounds fucking insane. It definitely is insane. I haven't even gotten to the weirdest part yet. What's the weirdest part then, Josh? She brushed some dark brown curls away from her eyes, scowling at her own lice latte. Spit it out. Check this out. He held out his phone again, and Amaya and I both leaned in to look. It was the same screen he had shown us before, the one that looked a little bit like Grinder, with a black background, and the only thing on the page were a list of open chats. He tapped on a little question mark in the top right corner, and that was when the terms and conditions popped up. Terms and conditions. 1. If someone messages you that you would like to speak with, you must reply within 10 minutes of receiving the message. 2. If you do not wish to speak to someone, you must repeat this phrase word for word. Thank you for your interest, but I'm not open at this time. I wish you good luck with finding what you want. 3. If you wish to stop speaking to someone, repeat the phrase above. 4. If someone continues messaging you after you have sent the phrase above, get to a high ground, lock all doors and windows, and contact customer support immediately. Delete the app. Do not re download the app. 5. Do not message anyone between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. 6. Always say goodnight before you go to sleep. 7. Always say good morning as soon as you wake up. 8. Always be polite. 9. Do not send more than one message at a time. 10. Do not offer them anything to eat. 11. Do not agree to meet up with anyone on the app. Do not tell them where you are, even if they say they already know. Do not invite them into your home. 12. If they are near your home, get to high ground, lock all doors and windows, and contact customer support immediately. Delete the app. Do not re download the app. 13. Do not let them trick you. They will try. 14. We are not responsible for any negative consequences of using the app. Amaya and I stared at the page for a long time, both of our eyes skimming over the words once, twice, 3 times. Finally, Amaya leaned back, rubbing at her face with palms of her hands. This has to be a joke. Josh shrugged, setting his phone down. It's crazy, I know. Did you agree to all of that? I asked him. I felt a little uneasy, my stomach churning. The pecan latte wasn't sitting well anymore. Have you been using this? He shrugged again, now looking a bit embarrassed. Listen, I know it sounds insane, but it's just for fun. I just want to see if it's real. Jackson met this girl like a week after using this app for the first time, and I met her, and she's really normal and nice. I find that hard to believe. Amaya's face was red, and she kept nervously tucking at her hair behind her ears. Look, if you're messing with me, like, if you're both in on this, this really has to be a shitty prank you're pulling on me right now. No, both Josh and I cried out at the same time, getting a couple more weird looks. No, Amaya, it's not a prank, Josh finished. I promise, it's just something weird I found, and I wanted to tell you guys about it. Whatever, she huffed, pushing to her feet and slinging a bag over her shoulder. Just whatever. I don't feel good. I'll talk to you guys later. Amaya! I trailed off as she slammed her half empty coffee cup into the trash and briskly strode toward the door. Josh and I shared a look. Dude, I swear I wasn't trying to mess with her, he said after a while, searching my face to gauge my belief in him. I nodded, wiping my sweaty palms off on my jeans. I know, it's okay. She just isn't doing well right now. I hesitated for a long moment, chewing on my bottom lip before I spoke again. Jackson really met someone? I downloaded the app that night. I wasn't proud of it, but my curiosity became stronger than uneasiness. And as embarrassing as it was to admit, I was getting desperate. I just wanted someone. I wanted to meet someone nice and pretty that I could go places with. And I wasn't having luck anywhere else. I considered it a win win. If this app was just a bullshit prank, then we could get a good laugh out of it. And if it wasn't, that meant it was real. Josh had sent the link to a group chat with Amaya, and she immediately responded by reacting to the message with a thumbs down. That meant that, even if she was still a little peeved, at the very good at least, she wasn't upset anymore. It was a good sign. I pressed on the link and then agreed to download, crossing my fingers and praying for no horrible virus. The app really was incredible bare bones. Nothing but a message screen, which was empty so far in my case. There wasn't anything else to look at. other than the terms and conditions, which I read again. No one to swipe on, no bios to read, nothing. I was brushing my teeth when I got my first message. My phone buzzed, and I nearly choked on my toothpaste when I read the notification. Neil, hello, handsome. For some reason, the smiley emoticon unnerved me. I checked the time, 11:30 p.m. So I was fine on that rule. I pressed on the message, and a profile popped up. There was no bio, just a name and a picture to look at. I studied it closely, my eyebrows cinching together. The picture was of a girl, looking definitely somewhere close to my age. She had a shoulder length curly dark hair and dark skin, and she was posing in a yellow field wearing a flowery dress. It looked normal to me at first, but the closer I looked, the more off it felt. Her smile looked stiff, almost like it was painted on, and something about her eyes wasn't quite right. Her pupils looked strange, but I couldn't put my finger on exactly how. Something about that picture filled me with a sense of dread that I couldn't fully place either. I panicked and I checked the terms and conditions again before composing my message before the 10 minutes could pass, just in case. Cooper, thank you for your interest, but I'm not open at this time. I wish you luck in finding what you want. I waited. 3 little typing bubbles popped up, and then they disappeared. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I sighed in relief and shut my phone off. I woke up to two more messages from other women. One named was Elisa, and one named was Jody. My heart began to race. They had messaged during the night, so it had been 10 minutes before I replied, right? The words scrolled across the backs of my eyes like subtitles. You must reply within 10 minutes of receiving the message. Had I broken that rule? But then again, I wasn't supposed to message back at night, so surely it didn't count. I typed my responses, not bothering to look too closely at their profiles yet, not wanting to psych myself out. Elisa, hi. Cooper, hi, good morning. Jody, hello, how are you today? Cooper, hello, good morning. I'm doing well. How are you? I try to match their energy. I'm sure to be polite. And I also made sure to say good morning. I couldn't get my heart rate to slow down while I got ready for work. And I couldn't get over the dread I had felt when I thought I might have broken the rule. I knew it probably wasn't real. But what if it was? What would happen to me if I didn't follow the terms and conditions? At work, I got in trouble more than once for checking my phone between waiting tables. I couldn't help it. Even if it was a stupid joke, I didn't want to find out. I only got one message from someone new, someone named Sunny, and I caught it after 8 minutes had already passed since it was sent. I was anxious and restless all day, all the way until it was nearly midnight when I could finally relax a little. Then the other girls had messaged me a couple of times throughout the day, and I had replied politely, asking them questions about things they like to do and places they like to go. Everything really seemed fairly average, besides the very slight hint of stiffness in the way they talked, and the strange qualities about their profile pictures. Maybe they really were just well trained bots. The thought made me feel a little better. They probably weren't even real. The only thing out of the ordinary was one message from Alisa. Alisa, would you want to take me out to dinner sometime next week? Get something to eat? Of course, in normal circumstances, this wouldn't have been a strange thing to say at all. And I remembered it at the last second. Do not offer them anything to eat. I told her I was extra busy that week and I just wanted to get to know her first. She had typed for a long time before responding with, okay. Before it could get to midnight, I sent my good nights and let out a long, shaky breath. I called Josh. Hey man, how's it going? He sounded out of breath. He must have been on his nightly run. I tried telling him it was crazy to go on runs in the middle of the night, and so had Amaya, but he didn't listen. He was a white, straight, mostly muscular man. He had nothing to be scared of. He was invincible. This app is stressful, dude. I lay back in my bed, closing my eyes. It's taking a lot out of me. I heard Josh laugh on the other end, slightly choppy and still breathless. Don't take it too seriously. Like I was saying, it could definitely be just a movie promotion or something. Also, you get used to it. I have. Yeah, I trailed off. Have you talked to Amaya? A little. Why? I'm just worried about her. She's been so out of it lately. Yeah, we should do something for her, man. Like plan something. I couldn't help but smile. The three of us had been inseparable since freshman orientation, when we had been put in a group. I had thought it wouldn't last, but it would just be a case of freshman friend group. But it had. I felt lucky to have found both of them in such a big school, such a big area. Yeah, we should. Let's hang out tomorrow? Sure thing. I went to bed that night feeling a little bit better and a little less anxious. I woke up to tons of messages, a couple of new ones, but mostly pages of ones from the girls I had already spoken to. Elisa, Cooper, don't go to bed. Talk to me, Cooper. I miss you. Can I come over? I'm moving soon. Could you help me move? You could make me dinner. Cooper, wake up. I'm all alone. And I'm cold. It's so cold. I shivered. I didn't even bother reading through the other messages. Just responded with a good morning and apologized for not responding the night before. I wasn't sure this app was for me. The next few days went by without much of a hitch. The girls on the app were creepy, but they seemed harmless, and I was careful to follow all of the rules. I kept telling myself that even if these girls really freaked me out, they weren't even the ones I would end up with. If this app worked, I would meet someone who was perfect for me very, very soon, and then I could delete it and forget about it forever. I would give it another week or so, then I was going to give up. That was until Josh came into my job on a Wednesday. I saw him waiting outside the break room, his face pointed down, wringing his hands anxiously. The first thing I noticed was that he had no hat on. The second thing was that he was crying. What's wrong? I asked him, frowning and looking him over. Is everything okay, dude? He shook his head, finally looking up and meeting my eyes. I saw horror in them and some other emotion that I hadn't seen from him, maybe ever. Amaya's missing, Cooper. She's gone. One thought struck me all at once. The first stupid thought I had, did she download it too? Everything after that felt like a huge grey blur. My manager gave me day off work, and I went with Josh, following him to the police station. I sat in the grey room. I answered their questions. I tried not to cry when they told me that her roommate had reported her missing after she hadn't seen her over for 24 hours. I tried not to panic when they told me her roommate also found the window broken that morning and some blood staining the carpet. But there was no body down on the ground, no other traces of anything. I felt so guilty. I should have texted her more. I should have been calling and checking in on her. I had just been so distracted by work and by the stupid app. The only thing keeping us ruling it a suicide is the lack of a body, a female cop told me, clearly trying to be gentle. She placed a hand on my arm. Her roommate tells us she was going through a breakup. I felt myself filled with painful, searing rage. Amaya wouldn't do that. I looked the cop in the eyes, trying to make the eye contact burn. I promise. I could tell she didn't believe me. I stayed over at Josh's place. We both shuffled around like zombies, basically communicating only through either grunts or acknowledgement or shaky, quiet conversations about any updates. There were none to talk about. I completely forgot about the app. That was, I forgot about it until about a week after she disappeared. My phone had been buzzing nonstop the entire week. Most of the time, I had it entirely shut off. Some of my messages had been from my family, Amaya's family, and her classmates and friends, and some had been from the stupid app. But I couldn't bring myself to reply to many of them at all. But then I get a notification that caught my eye. Amaya, hi Cooper. It took me longer than I would like to admit to realize what I was looking at. At first, I thought it was a text message, and my heart soared up into my throat. Then I realized it was the app, and I opened it. I was bombarded with messages, both from new people and old ones. The old fear I'd felt about the app began to resurface, bubbling up like bile. Alyssa, Cooper, I'm coming over. I can come over now. I know where you are. Can I come over? Alyssa, answer me, Cooper. I'm going to come over. Jody, meet me. Please meet me. Please meet me. Now, now. And sunny, cold. I ignored all of them, despite the horrible, sick feeling in my gut. I opened the one from Amaya. I looked at her profile picture. It was her. It was a picture of her I had never seen before. It was dark outside and taken with flash. Her hair was down, falling around her face in the way she couldn't stand. Her chin tilted a little to the side. She was smiling in the way the first girl was. Wrong, stiff and strange and wrong. That wasn't her smile, and those weren't her eyes. They were far too dull and very slightly pointing in different directions. Cooper, Amaya, is that really you? Are you okay? Then the three bubbles popped up, then disappeared, then popped up again. I stood up, beginning to pace. Should I call Josh? Should I call the police? Was it some sort of sick joke? Finally, my phone buzzed. Amaya, I am near your home. I started to cry. I couldn't help it. I wanted to throw my phone. I wanted to break it. Cooper, where are you? What happened to you? Amaya, 10 feet. I stared at the message. I felt like my vision was going out. Cooper, 10 feet from where? Amaya, it's cold here. I swallowed hard. It felt like swallowing rocks. Cooper, thank you for your interest, but I'm not open at this time. I wish you good luck in finding what you want. Amaya, 6 feet. Amaya, cold and dark. I knew what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to lock the doors and the windows, get to high ground, and call customer support. But I couldn't. All I could do was stare at my phone, at her messages, frozen like a deer in headlights. And the headlights were coming so fast, I couldn't see or breathe or think. She was typing again as my phone buzzed. My blood ran completely cold. It was 1:56 a.m. No one was there. No one but me and whatever it was. I wasn't even sure if I could stop shaking enough to call the police. And I definitely couldn't hide. Not then. And I had broken nearly all of the rules. Amaya, let me in, Cooper. I have to show you where it took me. I finally managed to hide. I'm hiding now, in my attic. I can hear it down there, dragging itself from room to room. My phone is going to die, and none of my calls will go through. But I had to write this down. I had to tell someone. Josh, if you read this, I hope you're okay. I hope you follow the rules. I don't know where Amaya is, but that's not Amaya. And if you see me again, I'm not sure it'll be me either. I'm sorry. It's typing again. I've broken one last rule. I didn't delete the app. Wish me luck.